as the poorly written and portrayed Mark Shapiro in Moneyball said to the somewhat good portrayed Billy Beane of the Oakland Athletics in Moneyball, this is how we do business in Cleveland. It's sack flies. That's how we do business in Cleveland. Sacrifice flies and not hitting home runs and still finding ways to beat you and frustrate you to no end. And how we do that on Locked On Guardians is we talk about it every day on Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff. Over there is Justin. Today's episode, skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/MLB60 and use the code MLB60 for 60% off plus free shipping. I do want to take a quick moment at the top and say thank you to Guardian CT Fan for a fantastic review. Thank you. And also thank you to My Balls for their review. Everyone who leaves a review gets a thank you.
Good night. I'm out.
BAWLS. That is a promise I made that I'll stick to.
I'm 34 years old. I'm just going to point that out.
I tried to roll over it unsuccessfully, but that is a promise. You leave a review, you get a thank you on the show. So thank you for those recent reviews on iTunes. Make sure you're checking things out at iTunes. We're sliding on instead of charging up. My co-host is down here trying to remind you of such things. Want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day where you get podcasts, and also say we have your team covered every day. Today's show, we're going to, of course, talk about a very weird win. We will get into all the monkey business, arm business that occurred before the game, and I will explain the Stephen Kwan takes that made people do my personal favorite thing in the comments, accuse me of not watching baseball games, because clearly when you've hosted this show for 4 years, you don't watch any of the baseball games.
Jeff, I've never known you to be a big baseball fan. We've talked about this. You're not.
I hate spring training. I hate the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, I just do this. I just kind of show up. I've actually never watched a baseball game in my life. The other one is being accused of never having played it. That's the other great one. Like that somehow. Trust me, there are a lot of people who played this game for 20 plus years who are just dumb about baseball. John Smoltz is over here, our guest. I'm kidding. But we'll get into all of it. But let's talk about a weird, wet, and wild one. I don't think it was actually. It was wild. It was weird. I don't know if it was really wet, but
I was there. It's not wet, thankfully.
Maybe if you're in Mike Zunino's splash zone, it's. I want to pull up some hitting stats. We had some time before, and then I'm just kind of curious to see how many extra base hits the team has and how many Zunino has so far. So just. Your thoughts while I do some quick math.
It is very jarring to get catcher offense. That's my only thing I can think of. It's so, which, good thing, because early in the game I was like, man, this has not been a great game for Mike Zunino. Like, he was having a hard time. He did block a ball in the dirt. He ended up throwing a runner out at third. He was trying to advance on the block ball in the dirt. But he sailed one into center field on a steal. It is hard. I got to look at the numbers, but it is hard to throw out runners right now for catchers, I think.
Almost feels like there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, twice tonight. I think I got to look at who stole bases. The Guardians stole a lot of bases tonight. I think they stole 5 bases. Yeah. Jimenez, Rosario, Kwan, and Jose. So they stole 4. And Jimenez and Kwan, I think, both stole bases standing up. Like, they didn't get a throw. They didn't get a slide, nothing. So it's hard. And one of Zunino's throws did take off into center field. He did throw something out of third. But you know what? His 3 doubles and a walk, those were huge tonight. The first double drove in a run. And they have needed his offense. The bottom of the order tonight, really, if you want to look at everything, the bottom of the order
had the only hits.
Yeah, it was 4 hits, right? It was Zunino and Straw. Straw had 8. And Straw said it was an infield hit. So the Guardians had 4 hits, and only 3 of them left the infield. And those were all off the bat of Mike Zunino. And one got stuck in the outfield wall. I don't know if you saw that, but it got stuck in the scoreboard area of the outfield wall, which could have given the Guardians a 5th run, but it was, as the ground will double, and Will Brennan had to go back to 3rd, unfortunately. But hey, big ups to Big Z.
It was they have 30 extra base hits. Zunino he doubled his extra base hits to 6 now. I think we saw he's the first catcher ever in the first 11 games to have 2-3 extra base hit games in baseball history.
First 11,
he has been the anti-Hedges, right? Like some issues behind the plate. No, the defense has been questionable. But it's for last year, I would say here on this podcast, I'm like, Matt, everyone focuses on home runs. This team doesn't walk enough. 9 walks tonight. They've walked a lot more. I know you mentioned stolen bases tonight. They took over the lead for stolen bases with 19. That puts them first there. And in terms of walks, they're second with 56. They didn't walk a year ago. They didn't. I mean, they took a lot of pitches, but this is a pretty significant change. They were bottom 5 in walk percentage. This was a team that swung at a lot of first pitch, and it was kind of my complaint that they did not have guys who were getting up there and walking. And right now they're, walk this way.
Yeah, a lot of good at bats. Like Kwan had 2 walks. Ahmed Rosario had 2 walks. I thought that we were going to see snow. Yeah, I guess it's April. We could have seen snow. I don't know. I thought we were going to have like some kind of meteor hitting the stadium. I don't know. It was amazing. And some great at bats from Will Brennan, man. Let me tell you, he didn't strike out, but he did have a couple of bats where he chased a couple high fastballs. And I was like, man, that's the pitch where, he gets beat on is those high fastballs high and away. Because in AAA, you can shoot those the other way. But if guys locate them and they have enough spin, it's hard at the major league level. But Will Brennan had 2 walks tonight. And the second one, I don't even know if it was competitive at bat, but he was just standing there and he took everything. So really liking the at bats from Will Brennan right now. I hope he continues. I'll be curious to see if he's in the lineup on Tuesday against Garrett Cole, because we know Garrett Cole owned him in the postseason last year pretty badly. But his at-bats have been really good, and Oscar Gonzalez's have not. So if Will Brennan keeps rolling, I want to see more at bats from Will Brennan as he settles in.
And to be just curious to see how this goes with Garrett Cole having such a high walk rate, right? Like he's missing a ton of bats, but it's like right now they match up well. I thought this was, a lot of what I talked about on yesterday's game. This Yankees team was team put together with dollar store pieces with Colton Brewer, Ian Hamilton, Willie Calhoun. I mean, Calhoun wasn't terrible for him, but Franchi Cordero. It's a weird team to watch. Again, because it's the New York Yankees. They have all of the money in the world to spend, and they're still put together with duct tape. And, I will also be curious to see, speaking of Brennan, it's like, are they going to ride him a bit longer? Is Oscar going to, at some point, are they going to demote Oscar, to get him reps if they feel like Brennan's the guy for now? I feel like they're going to ride the hot hand, and in their mind, it feels like it might be Brennan. I'm sure Oscar will get at bats, but he can't get out of his funk if he doesn't play. And right now he's not playing.
It's true. Maybe, I don't know. The Yankees don't throw a lefty this series, so I don't know if they have a lefty, or because with, they're not seeing
Nestor Cortez
and Carlos Rodon hurt, so they won't see a lefty in the series. Wandy Peralta is like one of their few lefties that they could see, but I was interested. I was trying to figure out why the Yankees were throwing Colton Brewer and Ian Hamilton tonight. Like, I was like, what happened here? So it sounds like their bullpen was also a little taxed, so they rode those 2 guys to kind of save their bullpen. But Domingo Germán did not go long, and with Garrett Cole going tomorrow, they could have probably emptied their bullpen a little if they needed to, but it didn't really matter. I mean, the Guardians are only 1 run better, but that's all you have to be. But when you walk 9 guys, I don't know. They have better guys in their bullpen than Ian Hamilton and Colton Brewer. Like, Colton Brewer was released by the Royals like 2 years ago without even pitching like a game or a couple games, and Ian Hamilton was in AAA, like you said, last year for Cleveland. So very bizarre.
He only pitched in the big leagues last year due to COVID protocols. That was it. Someone got sick. He got an emergency called up. Didn't have to be added to the 40-man. That's the only reason he pitched in the majors all of last year. And now he's a linchpin of the Yankees bullpen. Nope, the Yankees bullpen. But they're we'll touch on 99 here, but Shane Bieber, following our recent example as well too. We might have to save that for segment 2 of first inning struggles, and then hey, after that, it's all good.
Yeah, good outing for James Karinchak. It was very quickly before we get into our first sponsor. If you all saw, it was a pitch clock violation before he even threw a pitch. Miles Straw's ill-advised dive, which it is what it is, but came back and got the heart of the Yankees order. Really good to see that from him. I think that was really very needed for the Guardians and very needed for Karinchak. If you want to go ahead and have some fun with fantasy baseball, check out our newest sponsor, So Rare. That is So Rare, a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital trading cards featuring players from all 30 MLB teams. They have partnered with some of your favorite stars like Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez. MLB games happen twice weekly in a span of 3 or 4 day cycle. And at the end of the game, MLB managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards win a variety of rewards, including scarcity cards, game tickets, merch, signed jerseys, VIP experiences meeting MLB stars. Prices will vary depending on competition. So head over to sorare.com/lockdown. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that is sorare.com/lockdown to start playing today, and hit up our buddy Alex Hooper on Twitter @Lex Hooper. The czar of So Rare MLB will get you projections and give you the winning lineups you need to get to those prizes.
And I want to jump in here because otherwise people are going to be like, hey, you didn't give Karinchak his 99 his praise. No, it was a great, his back was up against the wall. And in some respects, that's almost where he is best. He's a guy who goes out and he rips and he misses bats. And one could argue that with Class A sometimes being more pitch to contact, like that's why sometimes it makes more sense for 99 to pitch an extra inning. So, he's had 5 appearances, 3 really good, 2 really bad. We just have not had a middle ground really. This one had the potential to go sideways, and he nailed the door shut. He did everything he's supposed to. When he is on, he's a top 10 reliever in baseball. When he is on, doesn't always happen. But I think as the year goes on, we'll see more of the on version of him. So it's not so much that I'm hating on him. It's just this bullpen's really flipping good. And they got a lot of options. But he was fantastic tonight.
Yeah, those at bats. I mean, Gleyber Torres smoked that one. Straw keeps that in front of them, though. It's a single and doesn't mean as much. But, he had a pitch clock violation before he even threw a pitch tonight.
Those are going to happen. He might lead the team in that by the end of the
year.
Are we tracking that somewhere? That should be tracked.
It should be. On the road, that might have rattled him. I don't know. Would an opposing crowd like Seattle have gotten on him? I don't know. But he didn't let it bother him, and then he didn't let the runner on third bother him. I mean, he mowed right through the order after that. Everything looked good. Rizzo didn't look good against him. He threw good pitches to Stanton. I mean, he was fantastic against everybody he faced, Judge too. So,
let's go Bieber then next, right?
Well, I just want to go again and give your 3 stars.
3 stars, might as well. Bieber, it's like we talked about Plesac. The first inning got to him. Then after that, really not so much. He gave up those 2 runs there, and then
a walk and 3 hits, and then 1
and
hit
then
after, I think.
We ended up 5 total hits.
So 2 hits after the first inning.
Yeah. Well, you said a walk and 2 hits. 3 hits.
A walk and 3 hits in the first inning. Sorry.
So a walk and 3 hits. So 2 hits and 2 more walks. Allowed 4 more base runners. Only 4 Ks. You'd like to see him miss a few bats. It shows a little more luck and variance. But at the same time, hey, he finally got his first win. And in spite of those first 2 losses, a 2.37 ERA, he's still pitching well. Class A had a clean sheet. Nice to see after some of his ups and downs of late. I mean, Bieber and Zunino are the easy ones in this, right? Like those are the 2 you just kind of sit back.
Zunino, for sure.
Zunino,
Bieber.
After that, it's like I don't know. I'm tempted
to say Will Brennan. Will Brennan's at bats were fantastic.
Well,
he drove in with a sac fly himself.
He did, but it's like I look at him like, okay, so Kwan had 2 walks. Rosario reached base twice. Kwan reached base twice. Brennan reached base twice.
Brennan drove in the first run with sac fly in the second
and
inning.
then Straw
Wheeler
reached base
did as
twice.
well.
But Straw had the ill-advised dive. Stolen base-wise, Rosario, Ramirez, Jimenez, and Kwan all had stolen bases. Part of me, it's I don't know.
I say third star has to be either, to me, is either Brennan or Karinchak. That's where I would lean for the third star.
See, part of me thinks almost Kwanian with it, scoring the run there and helping manufacture his way through. Did the steal happen in that inning as well? I was trying to remember. In the seventh?
Kwan steal came in the second inning.
Okay.
So yeah, he ended up scoring, I believe, on Brennan's.
Oh yeah, because it's the walk, fielder's choice to advance, and then that. So I don't know. I don't know. The sac fly doesn't do as much, so I'm going to go with 99. I'm going to actually say, the situation he was in was incredibly tough, incredibly tight.
Andres Jimenez scored in the second inning on Kwan on Brennan's sac fly. Yeah, I agree with you. That was
so. I think you got to go to 99 there. That was guy on third with 2 outs. Or with no outs and coming back to not even give up a sack. Cleveland had their own situation where they had, they had second and third with 1 out and couldn't get across anyone. Teams were not great when they both given opportunities. Was it the 8th or the 6th where Cleveland had that opportunity? Is that
they had opportunities in the 8th inning for sure?
Yeah, the 8th inning. Yeah, so that was Straw struck out, Kwan grounded out. That was the fault. I love how Straw has played, and again, reached base twice again tonight. Man, it feels like when there are runners on is not when he is excelling right now. I'd have to go look at the data. That's totally incidental in my mind. Just due to the way things are lining up with time and us taking more in this one, should we talk about Kwan here and then save the roster stuff for the segment? Okay, so people got really mad about what I said about Kwan yesterday. And let me clarify. Going into yesterday's game, he had a 75 runs created plus. So at that point in time, he literally had the 4th worst runs created plus on the team. That is below his league average. He's still below league average at a 99. He is striking out more. His zone is expanded. I look beyond batting average. His on base is spectacular, but his slugging is down as well this year. So when I'm saying in the first 11 games was one of his worst stretches, it speaks to how good Kwan has been. Where the fact of the matter is that he recovered enough on Sunday and he was great tonight. But you look at those games before the Sunday and the Monday game, he was 25% below league average, and he had expanded his strikeout, gone from 9% to 14%, which is a pretty big increase. So a 5% increase in strikeout rate. He was not hitting 300 at the time, but again, 300 the more important thing to me is on base. And listen, his numbers are down from a year ago. They're minorly down, and it's early, and that doesn't really matter. But those first 10 games were not vintage Kwan. He had expanded the zone, and he was not producing as well. And that was what my comment was based on. I didn't expect our comments on YouTube to go crazy on it and start getting, very negative. But yeah, I if you're looking up until yesterday's game, in today's game, he had been well below league average. He had expanded his zone, and he was still being relatively clutch. But the problem for Steven Kwan's always going to be he's not a huge walk guy, and he really has no power at all. This year, it's been even worse. I need to see, does he have 1 extra base hit this year? Maybe it's not been great, but he's got 3. So that also helps drag it down. I mean, he is what he is. His job is to be there and get on base, but part of the equation, part of the equation in what I stated is just he's been really flipping good. When you have a 50% increase in K rate, when you go from 9 to 15, that's a 50% increase, while at the time having some production being lower. That is a quote unquote bad stretch. I stand by what I said. He is, the overall numbers are okay. He is league average offensively right now, I believe. So,
well, he does. I mean, he's on base. He's getting on base and he's stealing bases. I think he's fine. I mean, he's never going to be a high slug guy. He might run into 10 homers at best.
I don't even think I'll get there. I would be shocked by a double-digit home run season out of him.
I could. I mean, that might be his best. I don't know if he's going to get more than 10. I think
he's got such a low launch angle.
Yeah, if he gets on base at a 3, he's getting on base right now, and I don't know what it is after tonight. But if he's getting on base at a 360 clip, I'm not going to sit here and complain about Steven Kwan.
No, but like I said, he's at a 364, and By the way, everyone who was like, hey, he's hitting over 300 after a game like tonight, it's so variable. He dropped to 283, a 20-point drop after one game. But it's like I said,
it's like you said, 364 BP. That's what matters.
That's what matters. And like I said, it's all relative to what we saw with him a year ago, where he didn't really have a stretch where the K rate expanded for him. And that was my concern, was that. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying he is trash. I'm still saying extend the dude. But for him, relative to his own production, it wasn't quite what he'd seen. Mm-hmm. We'll take our next break here at the 2023 mark and come back after that. And we're going to talk about all the maneuvering that happened. If you're curious, why Battenfield? What's up with Civale? Oh no, Triston McKenzie. How much should we panic? The answer is not much, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Head over to FanDuel, our friends at FanDuel.
Sorry, you were talking about how you're going to talk about bets. I thought you might be jumping in and doing this one. So I'm a little slow on the FanDuel one. Why don't you tell me about your bets while I pull this one back up?
Yeah, I've really recently gotten into micro betting. I will say I haven't really done. I've been a little bit busy with work and all the fantasy baseball stuff, so I really haven't had a chance to do a lot of daily betting with FanDuel. But what I have done is I've embraced the micro betting. I actually got into this over the weekend, so you can bet on some of your favorite players' next at bats if you get into it in mid game. Today, I took Jose Ramirez to have an extra base hit. I think in his fourth at bat. As the game was going on. He did not, but I think Jose Ramirez is due for a big extra base hit one of these days here. So I'm going to keep rolling with the Jose Ramirez bets in game for an extra base hit. I think I put $5 down. I could have won 30. Like, I'll take those odds any day. He didn't do it tonight, but I would stick with that bet personally. I think he's due for one of these and keep an eye on how the game is going.
And, right now FanDuel is our sponsor, and Grand Slams, no hitters, and double plays are back. There's no better place to get in the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It's because new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Place your first bet and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, official sports partner of Major League Baseball.
And Locked On. So yeah, if he were under a rock today, Aaron Civale out again, left oblique strain, 15-day IL. They didn't really offer a timetable on how long this is going to be. Well, they didn't really say.
Obliques are weird.
Yeah, and those are things that can linger. So who knows how long it's going to go. I did say this yesterday. I guess I got it wrong because the Clippers didn't update their game notes. Not that I'm blaming them, but I did take my information from there yesterday. I talked about keep an eye on Connor Pilkington because he didn't make a start today, and Guardians could use an extra arm. Well, they did need an extra arm, not for the bullpen though. And the reason I was off is because I was in such a fog over the weekend doing stuff that I forgot that Connor Pilkington started game 2 of the doubleheader Saturday, and Battenfield was scheduled to start on Sunday, but he did not. So the Guardians already knew that they were going to need Battenfield. They held him from a start. Daniel Norris made the start. It was a bullpen game, so they knew they needed Battenfield. So the Triston McKenzie news, the 60-day IL, the earliest date he can now come back is May 29th against Baltimore. That doesn't really change things. They had an update on him today, and he said that, they said that he is going to start a throwing program, and we'll see how it goes from there, but he was not really expected back any sooner. So the McKenzie news is kind of a paper move anyway, just to add a roster spot. But welcome Peyton Battenfield for the first rookie debut of the 2023 season. I didn't have Peyton Battenfield on my bingo card for rookie debuts in 2023, but good guy, good for him. We'll see how he fits in.
This is so a few things. One, I had someone be like, should the Guardians be? I had two questions coming to me through from texting. One was like, is there something wrong with how they're ramping up with these pitcher injuries? And I'm like, no, it's Aaron Civale. I am pretty sure his muscles are made of rubber bands and his bones are made of toothpicks put together. He has never had a healthy season dating back to college. Like this has been the issue. Like you can't count on him. And this is why, like, for everyone freaking out about Plesac, and yes, I threw out there the idea of trading him for Ty O'Neill on Twitter is also just kind of to generate chatter and have some fun. But this is why on the same show, we're like, you can't trade him because they just don't have that ready-made depth. And Peyton Battenfield is, this is your Tanner Tully of this year right now. Like, this is the guy that is going to come up. He's going to pitch. He's going to pass through waivers, be some degree of roster fodder eventually. If you add a Tanner Bybee now, you're not, because he's had like all of one prospect or one appearance in AAA. Battenfield got all of last year. And it wasn't great, but he was there. He's the guy that when McKenzie is healthy, you don't feel bad. Or if Cody Morris gets healthy, you don't feel bad seeing if he passes through waivers. If you lose him, it stinks. You'd rather not, but it's going to be like, why am I blanking on the guy who went to Japan, the left-handed pitcher?
Kirk McCarty.
Yeah, he's Kirk McCarty. It's like, sorry, that was super loud in the mic. It's like, Baltimore might claim him, and then someone else, and he'll come back, and these guys will bounce around. That's what he is. He's a placeholder right now. You need Allen and you need Bybee to get some more reps at the higher level. You want to work on some things with them still. They're not ready yet. You have Cantillo on the roster. He's not ready. Pilk just pitched. They added a fungible roster fodder arm who has, worked hard and earned this opportunity. So good for him. Just don't read into anything other than like, who knows when Civale will be back? Who knows? The problem with Civale is he'll come back, have 5 more starts, and get hurt again. Like, that's just been his story. Unfortunately, his college, minor league, and pro career. Triston McKenzie, he was going to have to ramp back up anyways. So this is, as Justin said, a paper move. Don't freak out. And it is nothing to do with how their pitching is overall developed, going, coached up. This is just some freak stuff. And here's the thing. The reason they didn't trade for pitching depth is because by midseason, Allen, Bybee, you're hoping, midseason Espino before the injury issue, Cody Morris. They've had a lot of pitching injuries. It has really deflated the depth here. But, you don't make a trade when you have the depth that you have. It's been rough. Their depth has been annihilated.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone, like you said, wants to get rid of Plesac, and that's just not going to happen with all the injuries they had. And that was before the Civale injury to begin with. Good things can happen. Henches shouldn't be much longer, which is good. Who really knows on Morris, truthfully, right now? I know he's throwing, but it's not. I think he's throwing BP, or he's going to be throwing BP pretty soon. I think Battenfield is a little more interesting than
Cody Morris the 29th as well. Like, is Triston McKenzie is a retroactive 60-day, I assume? Since
it probably is. I didn't look at that specifically, but you're probably right. It's probably right. It probably is the thing. But I think Battenfield's a little more interesting than you're letting on. Like, he wasn't. He had some issues last year. He wasn't as good as he was when the Cleveland first got him in 2021. Yeah. So, I'm really curious to see what changed for him, if it was the ball at AAA or something else. But I don't know. I still think it's a very vertical profile. I mean, very north-south. He does a good job with the fastball up and has some breaking stuff that works down in the zone as well. So I think maybe Battenfield is probably a bullpen arm.
Yes,
long term, but I think he's a little more interesting than just roster fodder. Like, nothing against Kirk McCarty. Kirk McCarty, Tito went out of his way to say that guy, saved their bacon. I think he even used the term "save their bacon" specifically last year, especially in that 15-inning game against the Twins in September. And he pitched so well that they didn't want to even DFA him to put somebody else in the roster because they appreciate what he did so much. I think Battenfield's probably has more raw talent than McCarty. McCarty was very just throw strikes and kind of the Ryan Merritt type. And again, nothing against Ryan Merritt, but I think Battenfield's got better stuff than either of those two guys ever had. So, yes,
but how much does better stuff equal out with righty versus lefty? It's still some advantage tips when you're a lefty. I mean, I agree with you. I think Battenfield definitely has better stuff and it does profiles of pen arm, but I also don't necessarily. I mean, he didn't make either of our top 30 prospects. He wasn't really even close. He's not really he's still. Do you think they're going to lose any sleep when they have to waive him? I mean, he's the first guy gone, right? At the same time, I'm not necessarily putting him when I'm comparing him to the other guys, I'm not necessarily comparing him for talent. I'm just comparing where he is relative to the roster.
I don't know that he's necessarily the first guy DFA. I don't know. We'll see how things work out. I mean, we have no idea how long he's going to be up. Is he going to start?
Yeah.
They haven't really announced what his role is going to be. Is he going to take Civale's outing? I don't know what's going to happen. But I think the important thing is here, people are like, why can't it be, why can't it be Logan Allen, or why can't it be Tanner Bybee now? Because you're not going to make that move on April 10th to do something like that, because that is a permanent move. You need to call these guys up when they are ready to stay up. And I'm not saying they couldn't stay up, but I'm just saying those are moves you have to think about long term. And the last thing you want to do is call one of those guys up and they struggle and you have to send them down. See what happens. I think I like both Allen and Bybee, but I think by Memorial Day, if Bybee keeps up what he did last time, it'll be hard to ignore him. And I don't know. I think he's as close to ready as he's going to be at this point. I don't know how much more AAA outings is really going to make a difference for him. We'll see. But, those are things you just have to be super careful about making that a permanent move, especially in Bybee's case where he is not up for Rule 5 this winter like Logan Allen is. So,
yeah,
tricky topics. I mean, they would have to I don't even know. I guess the 3-catcher thing would have to go. Richie Palacios, I don't know. I'm really not sure how that would all play out, but you've got to make sure the time is right. And because look, what happens if Civale comes back, and he eventually will come back, and he, like Jeff said, he unfortunately probably will get hurt again. You still have to find. You're not going to send Bybee back now. Once he's up, you want him to be up, right? Like you don't want to have him in AAA.
Yeah, June, July just makes sense for him.
Yeah, I could see, depending on how bad things go here, I could see like early June, but that's probably as early as it gets for me. Before we get out of here, Jeff, any thoughts on Hunter Gaddis versus Garrett Cole on Tuesday? Like I said about yesterday, you have to learn that just because the pitching matchup looks tilted on paper doesn't always mean it's going to go that way. So
I don't know. I appreciate what Hunter Gaddis has done. I appreciate Hunter Gaddis. This is a really, really poor matchup for him. And you can go back and listen to when I had him on the show. It's like this team in general likes guys who are, a bit home run prone. Bieber is home run prone. Even his
no home runs tonight.
None tonight. But this team tends to, they prefer, and it's not that they like guys who are home run prone. They like pitchers who put it in the air. There's better outcomes when it's a pop, when it's in the outfield than it is on the ground. And unfortunately, that sometimes translates. So, I'm a big Gaddis supporter, but this does not feel like a good matchup tomorrow. I am not a gambler, but I would certainly not be betting on the Guardians in this one.
So naturally, you should go out and bet the over on Hunter Gaddis' strikeouts, and then he's going to win. That's what you should do. I think logic tells you that if it doesn't sound like a good bet, do it. I don't know. That's what I would do. Maybe I'll go out and throw a bet on Hunter Gaddis. I don't know. If he keeps the Yankees in the yard, it can happen. That's the big thing. Like I said, that was one of our keys to the series, was keep the Yankees in the yard. They did it today. If they do it tomorrow, they did it Monday. If they do it Tuesday, I don't know. We will see. It doesn't seem like a good matchup for that, but who knows? It's baseball. Anything can happen. By the way, real quick, Nolan Jones off to a fantastic start in Colorado. Just came across the MLB Pipeline article. 353. I mean, this is a Pacific Coast League number, so it's hilarious. But Nolan Jones already has 6 homers. Holy crap.
And they have Mike Moustakas playing instead. Again, the Rockies are a flipping poop show out there.
He's got 6 homers. It is the PTL.
Why is he not playing? I mean, yes. And isn't that also where Joe Adell is putting up his ridiculous numbers? Oh, we should also say Sandy Leon back in the big leagues. You can't kill him. Sandy the Cockroach Leon. That should be his nickname. This guy, he cannot be stopped.
Nolan Jones on Pipeline, not to denigrate Pipeline, but he is their 17th ranked Rockies prospect. I feel like Nolan Jones is better than the 17th ranked prospect in that.
I feel like he is there. Because he got traded for a lesser guy, and he didn't make that roster. Yeah. So right now that bench: Alan Trejo, Harold Castro, a Detroit Tigers cast off who was arguably, though, in fairness, Detroit's best hitter a year ago, and Mike Moustakas is the bench. Their DH Charlie Blackmon.
Colorado.
With Jonathan Diaz and Juraxen Profar. Yeah, like why is Moustakas on this team over Nolan Jones? Rockies fans, it's time. Let's start it. It's time for me to take over as your GM. So let's just, based on Ultimate Baseball GM, it's very clear it is time for me to take over. You need me. I need you. Let's get this ball rolling. Jeff Ellis, next Colorado Rockies GM.
You got my vote.
There we go. Thank you for watching, rating, and reviewing. As again, a thank you to My Balls and Cleveland CT fan for leaving their review. Justin didn't lose it this time. We appreciate that. We appreciate everyone though who downloads, listens, and comments. We do get a little salty about comments sometimes if we feel like someone is not always be the nicest, but we always respond to comments. So we appreciate each and every one of you who listen and support us in your own way, are part of the Locked On Guardians team. Thank you, and go Guardians, go beat the Yankees some more.